Okay, now we're moving on to complex fractions. Okay, so for these, there's a couple of steps. You're going to find the common denominator for the numerator and put it in terms of the common denominator. Okay, so all of your numerators should have a common denominator. Then we're going to simplify that numerator. Okay, then multiply by the reciprocal instead of dividing by the denominator. Everything should cancel out and look very simple before you substitute, and that'll be our last step. Okay, so let's focus on the numerator for a couple of steps before we start looking at the denominator. Okay, so we need to find a common denominator for the numerator, okay, which is going to be 4 times x plus 4, okay, because those are both in common. So, to get our common denominator, which is 4 times x plus 4, okay, if you notice your first term has the x plus 4, it doesn't have the 4. Okay, so you're going to have to times that by 4. All right, and then your second, let's copy the minus. Then your second term has the 4, but it doesn't have the x plus 4. So that's just going to be x plus 4. Okay? If you didn't understand that, then go ahead and start this problem. We can talk more about a common denominator in class. Okay, so this is still all over x, and we're still taking the limit as x approaches 0. Okay, so that was the first step. Then we're going to simplify the numerator. That's the second step, so let's multiply this out. So the negative times that group would make it negative x minus 4. All right, so you can see the 4's cancel, and on the top we just have x. Okay, so now we're at x over 4 times x plus 4 all over x. And we're still taking that limit as it goes to 0. Okay, so now right here, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of x instead of dividing by x. So hopefully you can see we want those x's to cancel. And actually, on the numerator, if I canceled those, we have negative x, my bad. Okay, so now we're at the limit as x approaches 0 of negative x over 4 times x plus 4. And now we're going to times by the reciprocal here, which is times 1 over x, instead of dividing the whole fraction by x, okay? So instead of dividing by x, I mean that times 1 over x. All right, and now hopefully you can see how to simplify. So the x's are going to cancel, and now we're at limit as x approaches 0 of negative 1 over 4 times x plus 4. Okay, so now we're ready to simplify because we're not dividing by 0. All right, so when we plug in our limit, that's 0 plus 4. So we're at negative 1 over 4 times 4, which equals negative 1 over 16. Okay? All right, let's do one more, example 8. Go back and rewatch that if you're really stuck or if you didn't understand and follow. And then if you're still stuck, ask for help in class. Okay, example 8. So we're going to find the common denominator. So if you look at 1 over 3 plus x, minus 1/3. The common denominator is really putting both of those denominators together. So that would be 3 plus x times 3. Okay, so we're just dealing with the numerator first for a little bit. So if you look at the 1 over 3 plus x, it has the 3 plus x, but it doesn't have the 3. So we would have to times that by 3. And 3 times 1 is 3. Okay? Then let's copy the minus between the top terms. And then if you look at the second term, the 1 over 3, the denominator has a 3, but it doesn't have the 3 plus x. So we need to times that 1 by 3 plus x. Okay, that's really how you find a common denominator. All right, so 3 minus 3 plus x. Okay, and if you want to, right there, instead of having it all over x, you can already put times 1 over x. Okay? If that confuses you, then still simplify the numerator and do that step later. Okay? So I'm going to still simplify the numerator. So I distribute that negative, and that would be 3 minus x. Okay, and then the 3's would cancel. So really simplifying the numerator, you just get negative x. Okay, so now we're at limit as x approaches 0 of negative x over 3 plus x times 3. And then I am going to go ahead and write that times 1 over x instead of dividing the whole thing by x. Alright, so now my x's cancel, and we're at negative 1 over 3 plus x times 3, so I'm just going to erase that. So at negative 1, okay, because the x is canceled. And then let's substitute, we're on our last step here, let's substitute 0. Oh, excuse me, substitute 0 for the x. All right, so that would be negative 1 over 3 plus 3. So that limit there is negative 1 over 9. Okay, last idea here is using reciprocal identities.